All right, let's get into it. When we talk about climate action, our minds usually go to things like factories or cars or farms. But what if I told you the next big frontier for sustainability is hiding in plain sight, right inside our computers and the code that runs them? We're going to explore the invisible footprint of our digital world.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. Every single app you use, every website you scroll through, every little line of code that a developer types out, it all needs energy to run. But how much are we really talking about? What is the actual hidden environmental cost of all that digital magic? Well, the scale is kind of staggering. Right now, the data centers that are the backbone of our digital lives, they consume about 1.5% of all electricity on the entire planet. That is a mind-boggling amount of power just to keep our apps and services humming along 24/7. And here's where things get really urgent. With the absolute explosion we're seeing in AI, some folks are projecting that number could actually triple by 2030. This isn't some distant, far-off problem. It's happening right now, and our demand for digital power is just growing like crazy.
But it's not all doom and gloom. There's some good news. A whole new discipline is popping up to tackle this invisible footprint head-on. It's called green coding, and it's all about a massive shift, from just writing lines of code to taking on lines of responsibility for the impact they have. So, what is green software engineering really? Well, think of it like a team sport. It's about getting developers, product managers, and the infrastructure folks all on the same page with one shared mission to build software that's not just fast and powerful, but also super energy efficient. The big goal is to slash what's called compute waste, all that wasted energy and resources, from the giant data center all the way down to the phone in your hand. This right here, this captures the huge cultural shift that's happening. For decades, performance in software was all about one thing: speed. How fast can we make it go? But now, the new metric is all about efficiency. The core question is changing from how fast does my code run to how much useful work does it do for every single watt of power it burns. Okay, so how do you actually do this? It's not like you have to learn some brand new, complicated programming language. Nope. It's really about adopting a new mindset, one that's guided by a few core ideas. Let's open up the playbook and see what's inside. The whole playbook is really built on three simple but super powerful concepts. First up, energy efficiency. This is all about writing smarter code that does more work with less processing power. Maybe you pick a better algorithm that doesn't have to churn through so many cycles. Second, hardware efficiency. Basically, use only the server space you absolutely need. No more booking a giant conference room for a two-person meeting, right? And third, this one's really cool, carbon awareness. This means designing your software to run its heavy tasks at times or in places where the electricity grid is being powered by renewables like wind or solar. This really puts that mindset shift into perspective. The old way was basically, if it's slow, just throw more powerful hardware at it until it's fast. Energy use wasn't really part of the equation. The green way is totally different. It's about rethinking the problem from the ground up, optimizing for efficiency and carbon impact from the very beginning. Performance is being redefined. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this all sounds great for the planet, but what about the company's bottom line? And that's a fair question. Well, it turns out that green coding isn't just about being a good citizen. It's also incredibly smart business. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The biggest names in tech are already all over this. You've got Microsoft, who actually co-founded the Green Software Foundation. Spotify is busy re-engineering its platform to be more energy efficient. And GitHub is looking at ways to put carbon metrics right there in front of developers as they work. These are not just small side projects. They're core strategic moves. The reason why is pretty simple. Efficient code is cheaper code. When you're using the cloud, you're literally paying for what you use. Every compute cycle, every gigabyte of storage. So less energy and less waste means lower cloud bills, plain and simple. It also gives a company's ESG score a major boost, which investors absolutely love, and it gives them a real competitive edge. This is a really big deal for tackling something called Scope 3 emissions. Now, that sounds technical, but just think of them as the carbon footprint of your entire supply chain. Everything from the servers running your app in the cloud to the energy used to build your employees' laptops. They are notoriously difficult to track, but they're getting a ton of scrutiny these days. Green software helps shrink that digital footprint, making a company's whole operation cleaner and more transparent. So, looking beyond just the business case, where is all this headed?
Well, we're really moving into an era where sustainability isn't just a nice to have anymore, it's becoming a core part of what defines great software. It's a journey from just writing lines of code to actually developing a conscience about the real world impact of that code. And the most immediate, most massive challenge we see on the horizon is green AI. As these artificial intelligence models get more and more powerful, their insatiable hunger for energy is becoming a serious environmental problem. Just look at this for a second. This is wild. Training just one large AI model can emit as much carbon as 5 cars, not for a year, but over their entire lifetimes. This really makes that abstract cost of AI feel incredibly real, doesn't it? This is the new frontier, where we have to make innovation and efficiency go hand in hand. So to solve this, there's a new skill that's becoming absolutely essential for developers: carbon literacy. You know how a few years ago everybody started talking about data literacy as a core skill? Well, think of this as the next evolution. Understanding the carbon impact of your code is quickly becoming a non-negotiable skill for any modern software engineer.
We are truly entering a new chapter. In the very near future, the quality of a piece of software won't just be measured by how fast it is or how many features it has. It will also be judged by how sustainable it is.
And that really leaves us with a final provocative question to think about. As this whole movement grows and matures, will we get to a point where the software we admire most, the code we think is the most brilliant, the most elegant, the most powerful, will also be the code that is the most sustainable? It's a question that everyone in the tech world is going to have to answer, and soon.